Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Play Rule the Waves in the French Succession series with the Historical Gamer and XTRG, and of course myself, Tortuga Power. So it's our second episode of this, and we're about 9 months into our term since the early expiration of the Historical Gamer as Naval Director. And now a few good comments have come around. One mentioning specifically that we have some of these ships are with central rangefinder instead of central firing. If you want to know, it's not always intuitive. I, for example, would have guessed that central rangefinder is better than central firing. In fact, it's not. I don't know. I actually don't know the abstraction of these. To me, it seems like using rangefinder is good, and just having people controlling from the middle is bad with binoculars. But I'm obviously misinterpreting what this means. So, just the easy way of deciding this is they're done in descending order. I guess ascending order from poor to good. So local is the worst and central firing is the best currently. Whatever comes next, I think director will be below that, then advanced director, whatever, etc. So we have all these ships which are currently at central rangefinder, which could give them a penalty, especially considering we might go to war very soon. Now, the other thing I wanted to do is kind of navigate the ships into appropriate regions. And, oh yes, of course, I missed in my big cuts. I just kind of stared at this off camera for half a moment. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Faux canal? I don't think it's a soft C. I imagine it's a hard C with the A-U, but if I'm wrong, that just shows you how little I know about French. Anyways, these guys escaped our original scrapping. They do have that really weird 4 2-inch gun configuration. I'll just show you. The 4 2-inch guns and then the 2 3-inch guns. Only 2 torpedo mounts. Basically, they're the same as all the other ones we were eliminating. So these guys will also get the axe in an early round of ship scrappings. Now, we're not getting much from that. That was 18 ships, just in case you didn't catch it. Oh, right here, 18 ships, there it is. We only get about 400,000 for it, which is just a pittance, and it only saves us 180,000 in maintenance a year because the maintenance for each of those was 10,000. And just to put that in comparison with these Trident classes, which I need to put back to reserve, I should put them back to reserve. By the way, it does appear that they function just fine in reserve fleet in the Mediterranean. So I guess if they have the big enough harbor, or I don't know if this is a special case with France that they are allowed to have. Maybe it has to be a port, that's in home waters. I'm not exactly sure, but whatever the case is, it's okay for the French to have a reserve fleet in the Mediterranean. Of course, that makes sense, but you never know about the game mechanics. So I wanted to put these in reserve, but at the same time I mentioned that central firings, central rangefinder things, we're going to have to upgrade some ships coming out. And it's a big question for me as well, if I want to start upgrading some of these ships to the better quality 12-inch guns we just got. Well, not just, but recently acquired. I guess it's probably been about a year, but it might be time to upgrade some of these. Now, the Trident one, this is one of my least favorite ships, and in fact, I noticed something absolutely dreadful. Now, mind you, there's these two things, open design for rebuild. If you just open design, this means if you wanted to rebuild the current ship, like the whatever settings you set for the ship, in the present, most up-to-date technology, armor and machinery and hull and everything like that, you'll notice that this means that usually you'll have a huge amount of weight remaining. So this is absurd, 1.8, and that'll be an important point in a second. So that, we don't have the better armor and all the weight savings that have gone into this because I just did open design as if I wanted to build another one. It even is saying that, if you develop a new class, it's such a small change from the Friedland the Friedland that you'll get a development bonus. Notice this is also something funny about, I think this is just because there was a little mishap in between episode 1 and episode 2 of the Historical Gamers game, so of this series, that this is called the Friedland, although it technically is actually the Trident. And that's just one more reason why we're going to do, eventually, what I'm going to do, you're probably getting a good hint for it. Now, if I open the ship design for rebuild, this opens the ship's design with all the armor, weight savings, the machinery, as it was when it was built. So basically how the ship exists in our game, not how we could build it, but how it was built. Then, if you note that, and you come down to this weight remaining, you'll start pulling your hair out or screaming at the top of your lungs, wondering why it is that a ship was built with 1.5 thousand tons of tonnage unallocated. I had no words. The funny thing about this is, we could make this a 14-inch ship with its 4 guns, probably even forward and aft. No. Just I want to increase the guns. Okay, so we can't do this. We can't get all of these, but we almost can. We can almost make this 6 14-inch guns instead of 2 or 4 12-inch guns with all the weight that they had left over, which is absurd. So again, just to go back to the original design without me playing around with it, 1.5 thousand tons unallocated. I was playing around with this wondering how we could solve this problem. But there's no good solution. Even making this basically an anti-cruiser, anti-destroyer boat just doesn't... I mean, it can be an expensive refit to do this, to add all those secondary guns. I mean, I don't want to do it. There's nothing I like about this ship anyways. The Trident class, this already has the poor design. So, because of that, we can imagine Tortuga walking with an engineer one day down the docks. And since these are reserve ships, we might imagine that they spend a lot of time at dock anyway. You know, they don't really train or anything. That's why they're reserves. So perhaps the naval director and the engineer have noted repeatedly how the Trident class rides way, way above its waterline. And they're wondering why is it so light? And looking into it, they realize that this is just a faulty design, and we will not bring these ships into combat. So we got 2.3 million for our funds for doing that, and of course the maintenance savings was only 400,000 total because reserve those were each like 100,000. It's not much. What you might think we're doing is being penny wise, pound foolish, because we have like these behemoths such as the Deputy Trois, which is 205,000, or even worse, the Touche Treville, which is 261,000. The most expensive ship in our fleet is only an armored cruiser. Yeah. So, I mean, the maintenance of this ship is already over double one single Trident in the reserve mode. But so we have these other guys taking up a lot of the budget, but especially with those destroyers, you can imagine. I mean, all 18 destroyers that we scrapped today, I don't know how to say it, the Fauconau, whatever it was, class, all of those 18 don't even add up to one of our heavy cruisers. I mean, our armored cruisers. That's a mistake I'll probably make throughout the series, exchanging heavy and armored, but everyone knows what I'm talking about, so we'll let it lie. Okay, so on to progressing, because again, it's been about 10 minutes, and I don't want to spend this whole episode just talking about things. The bigger question, and something I haven't actually decided yet, I might need to progress a few terms to buy myself a little more time to think. Whoops, let's do for rebuild, so we know exactly what they were. These much better. They were built sensibly. So I was looking into whether or not we should replace these 12-inch guns with higher quality, and I think the answer is going to be yes, because we're already going to need to retrofit them to get central firing. However, I should note the difference. Getting only central firing only costs $380,000 for 4 months. The total cost of $1,527, but it's really minor. It's a really minor upgrade, and totally worth it. However, the difference between 12-inch, like basically remounting better quality guns, is quite expensive. It's not as expensive, I think, as just building a new gun in general. Let's also take a look and note the quality difference. What does it mean? So I'm just going to remember 85 and 71, because those are the ranges we're likely to use on these battleships. 85 and 71. and then we'll take a look at the difference here as well. So 85 and 71, if we upgrade, 85, 71. It's a pretty substantial difference, especially as you get closer. You know, what was only penetrating, wasn't even penetrating 9 inches of armor is now penetrating 9.5. As we get a little further away, I mean, this is just the scaling of it. It penetrates 8 inches at 8,000. I think this is worth it. The max range also increased. I even forgot to see, and this is an important thing to take note of, because what I'm led to believe, at least, is accuracy in this game is done as a fraction of your max range. What I mean by that is, I'm not sure if it's linear or how it works exactly, but it's a positive function somehow that as you increase your range, your accuracy, I mean, the ratio of the range you're firing at compared with your max range, that ratio, that percentage, impacts your accuracy. So if it was a linear scale, which I'm not sure about, but probably makes the most sense, then if you're at half your max range versus your absolute max range, you're twice as likely to hit. So maybe actually I'm not sure if that makes sense or not, but anyways, you can just think of the max range as not just being the max range, but also a component of your accuracy. So the longer range guns actually are more accurate at the same range, let's say 5,000, as a shorter range gun. Okay, so beyond that whole thing, 14,400 was 13,300. So, it's just like almost a 10%, not quite a 10% increase, but just about. And that means, almost a 10% increase in accuracy if we are pretending that it is a linear scale. Okay, enough math. I think I'm convincing myself to do it, but now remember, this was only 4 months at like 350, I can't remember exactly. Instead of that, it's going to be 8 months at over $1 million per month. So the difference here is staggering. We're looking at like over a 10-fold increase in the cost to get these new turrets on. Now, because those new turrets are being built, I was like, okay, well, can I adjust things over here? I can. That's good to know. I wasn't sure if that would be the case or not. So I guess you're just putting a whole new turret in there. And that's why once you replace the gun caliber, you have free reign over what to do with the turrets. Since that's the case, we could just lower this turret top down to 2, which would still protect against splinter damage, 2 inches being the minimum you need to protect against splinters. This will make the ship a little bit more vulnerable in the future, but I think I'm willing to do that because turret top is unlikely to be used in these closer exchanges. It will, I don't know if it really changes the expense much, no, basically none at all, but it doesn't really buy us that much weight even. I was hoping to get one extra, impossible. Unless I get rid of these guns. Okay, well the cost increase for this is just too enormous. Note, if I go from 12 to 14, it goes from 9 to 12.5. And one more probably won't change it much, just 13. The reason why this is a big difference is because if you're making any adjustment to the secondary guns at all, I guess it's thinking that you have to remount all of them, or, just a change, any change at all is going to be expensive. And then what exactly that change is less important to the cost. So, I mean, you can see how many different factors go into this decision, and although in real life I would have days upon days to just consult the numbers and all that, I don't have that luxury for a YouTube series, so I'm just going to make a quick snap decision. I'm not sure if this is a good idea or not, but we're going to go with the better quality 12-inch guns to make our fleet. Let's just make our ships good. Why not, right? We'll get the central firing, and I prefer a little bit more ammo. We're sitting pretty close to the minimum I would ever want to go to out with. 90 is like my personal minimum, so we'll set these back to 90. Hopefully they'll be hitting more often. I always justify these things in my head. If they have better fire control, they should hit more often. Therefore, they should need less rounds per gun to sink their target. But you run into these fleet battles where it's not just about sinking one ship. It's really, once you sink that one, do you have enough rounds left for yet another, and then another after that. So I think it'll be good to do this. I still really don't like these tertiary guns, and I'll tell you why. It doesn't fit the role of this ship. Again, I'm very role focused, and I think maybe that'll just be my little special. The naval director for France during 1906, 1912, he was very obsessed with roles for ships, and maybe it's too compartmentalized and not enough generalization. Specialization is very good, but at what cost? Of course, it's to flexibility. I'm going to go with this inflexible, though, thing, hoping that our fleets just are able to perform well, and I don't think this is too big of a stretch. I'm going to remove these 4-inch guns just because I don't need those 4-inch guns firing at destroyers. They're not going to do much against light cruisers, because my light cruisers, my heavy cruisers, everybody else should be taking care of those destroyers for me. It's not the battleship's role to kill these destroyers. Even though you could say, well, I mean, look, Tortuga, I don't even remember how many were here, but I guess it was only 6, though. That's really just so... That's 3 4-inch guns per side. Yeah, I'm going to take those away. We don't need those. I'm just going to do away with them. Let the army have those 4-inch guns as artillery or something. Who knows? Or save them for later use. I'd much rather one more 6-inch gun on each side. I don't think we can squeeze that. We cannot. Because of the, reasonable secondary armor. Now, can I do it this way? Oh, I have to do this. So I can get one more 6-inch gun. If I do this, if I lower the turret top, but then the big cost comes from changing this, as we already mentioned. Okay, no. In fact, we'll go the other way then. We'll get up to 100. Since we're changing the turret, we might as well go up to 9. And maybe... no. So 9, 2.5, I like that. That seems fair enough to me. And more ammo. Okay, I really like this ship. It's going to be expensive. 8 months at 1.2. But what are you going to do? So we'll save this. It has narrow belt. Well, we can't change that, good sir, so it'll have to stay as it is. So that's the Ocean 1906. I really, really hope to God I did not... Just please tell me I did not neglect... Okay, let's go over here. 1906. Did I forget... Oh, wait. Open. Okay, good. I put central firing in. I wasn't sure. I got so carried away with the turret stuff. So it looks like central firing is in with those guys. So we will rebuild all these ships. It's going to be very expensive. In fact, do we have the money to do it? Well, I'm going to hold out on that because the historical gamer herself is only 2 months away. If we can hold out 2 months, we'll get this 2.5 million back. Because I'm sure the running cost of the historical gamer class is probably around 250, maybe 300. Which means we should get 2.2 million back. And maybe we'll get some other budget up to help us along the way. Otherwise, we'll have to pause the Chardons the Chardons member of the historical gamer class. Yeah. Okay, very good. I did want to mess around with moving the ships, but the thing is, once you rebuild them, normally they're placed back in your home waters. So we'll worry about where the ships are placed only once we do our retrofits. Now, I have to say that's probably all the retrofits we can do for the time being, but slowly and steadily we'll get the Rango, the Charles Motel. We'll get these guys all sorted out as soon as the money allows. So, moving on to the next turn. Wow, perfect. Boom times. I'm going to build into the future, because that is my starting motto. We're just about to finish the new docks that I was doing. Eventually we'll have, hopefully, better light cruisers. So the strength in the Navy gives you up prestige, up tension, I think more budget up than doing the railroads. But this, if I read it correctly, this actually has a longer term increase to the budget eventually, which we may not see, but good luck to XTRG. Hopefully he sees some of the fallout of this. So that's what I'm going to do. Otherwise we could lower our unrest level by doing this, but I don't think that's necessary. And coastal submarines. Yawn. I'm very much not interested in just, submarines. Not at all. Yeah, tension's a bit high, Britain, but we'll hold off on lowering our spying there until tensions get up to maybe 10. Okay, so you see that we're doing okay. We have another 2 more months of this. And God willing, the Historical Gamer, the namesake of her class, will be released by then and provide us with a little bit of extra budget. Okay, looks like my minesweepers are all done. That's going to save us a bit of budget as well. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Our ship, the Historical Gamer, is commissioned. During trials, it is found that the ship is somewhat overweight. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, and then just to add insult to injury, we now have an event which wants us to raise tension with Great Britain. Great Britain is hosting an international regatta and sail race. Our well-trained crew is the favorite to win. Ha ha ha. Go French. What are their instructions? We could choose to finish behind the host nation, or we could go for the win. I do a lot of kind of min-max things, I think, maybe too much, but this is not one. The French, we will not settle. We're going for the win. And we'll secretly also, let me see if there's anything else interesting. Somebody's stealing stuff from us. Overweight, we'll have to check on that, see what that means. They're getting central firing on their ships as well, so it looks like it's appropriate. But after our little, the displeasure that Britain has communicated to us, we will lower our intel efforts there. You can see the change is extremely minor. It's only 70,000 for the difference. But look at this. After she's commissioned, and with the commissioning of all our minesweepers, we're sitting at a positive budget, which is something I did not think we'd see for quite some time. Not such a positive budget that I feel like we can halt my own ship, the Tortuga Power, or the Redoubtable, but getting there. Mind you, of course, we have 10 light cruisers to build starting in November, and I absolutely cannot forget that. So hopefully I don't. Okay, so yeah, and plus we have retrofits to do, which is probably more important than getting the new ships out. Well, I'm not sure about that. The new ships themselves have to be retrofitted because the Historical Gamer is on the old 12-inch guns, and also I think we can see in a second here. Good, we got a little bit of weight savings on armor. That was that pop-up. Yeah, oh, she's on central firing. Okay, this is good. So at least we don't have to retrofit her. She has, the slightly worse guns, but at least she has the better fire control. Okay, good. Okay, then December, 1 more month. We'll take all that monthly balance to hopefully bolster our financial situation come our 10 light cruisers. New docks complete. Oh wow, 13-inch quality 0. Well, I really hate that because now we have this tough decision between 13-inch quality 0 or 14-inch quality -1. Between the two, I'd very likely go with the 13-inch guns. Quality, I'm a big proponent of quality, but also the 14-inch guns, we could do a direct comparison to find out what the difference is, but the 14-inch guns are going to be much heavier, so they need to justify that in quality. And maybe it can't be justified even if it is an improvement. Okay, so we have acquired important research from Great Britain. Okay, you know what? They're back down to 9. Let's increase our efforts there. Always a good research pool to fish from. The British, they are always technological leaders. Them and also the United States, which is why I have intel high up with them. But there might be factors which impact our espionage abilities, like proximity. I'd imagine it's a little bit more difficult to steal from the Americans. Okay, so yeah, I guess we just push on. Oh god. Oh no. My face is in my palm right now just because I forgot. Here it is. There it is. Well, what have you gone and done? Wow, cross-deck fire. That's fantastic. The Italians are stealing ship design stuff from our industry. Huh. So, we didn't build the light cruisers. What I did is look the naval secretary square in the face, tell him, okay, we'll build new light cruisers. And then 7 months later, he asked for a checkup, and I said, well, we just didn't get to it. It was politically worded, but the result was, of course, politically a bit of displeasure. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. I made a mistake. You know what? I'm okay with it. We don't need those new light cruisers. What I'd rather have is a... No, honestly, I wouldn't mind a new light cruiser. I'm pretty happy with the Lavoisier and the Sardinia, though. They're really not that bad. I mean, okay, let's use this monthly balance then instead to start retrofitting our ships. I mean, we already made the mistake. Let's try to make the best we can. Just a very stupid thing, but oh well. You know, maybe a good thing in the end. Same situation here. We are able to barely squeak out. Oh, I need to take a look at the historical gamer to see why she's overweight. So we'll do that in a second. With 12, can we do anything? I mean, I like the Marengo. The Marengo is my favorite of all the legacy battleships. She's a big girl. Probably the largest displacement we have. Yeah, of the old ones, it's definitely the largest displacement, but I think it shows in her quality. In fact, she's the only ship which is larger than our armored cruiser, La Touche-Treville. It's kind of funny, but whatever. We'll just ignore that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything we need to do. We just gonna bite the bullet on a very expensive refit. Is there anything else we should do? Because I could play tricks with like lowering this to try to... No, it's just fine the way it is. Let's not over optimize things. Okay, this is interesting. Rotor value for secondary turrets reduced by 40% due to lack of suitable training and elevation gear for secondary turrets. I absolutely loathe that. Which is why I don't put things... I always keep things in casemates. There is a penalty for firing casemates when you have troubled waters. I think it's like a 10% penalty or something. I'm not sure the exact penalty. But the point is, the rate of fire penalty we incur from not knowing how to use turrets and double guns is far worse than having these in casemates. Unfortunately, casemates more expensive. We can't get away with doing this unless we drop our ammo down, or I do lower... Oh my gosh, look at this secondary armor. And it looks like if we do that, we have to completely rebuild the turrets. Well, you know what? The Marengo is my favorite. We're going to do it. We're going to do something insane with the Marengo class. It's going to make her even more expensive, but you know what? By God, we're going to do it. We're going to drop our secondary armor down to insanely low levels, because I'm not worried about a single one of these turrets being knocked out if we have 12 per side. Going to casemates, we still have 500 tons left over. Since our turrets have already been changed, it does not massively increase our cost. The turrets are already being knocked in and out, as we've already pointed out. So I can get this up to like 10.3. Might as well take this to 2.5. And you know what? More torpedoes. I'm in love. I think this is a wonderful ship. We'll use the remaining for a little bit of extra ammo. I find this ship phenomenal. We have probably enough to do. It's totally unnecessary. But it will make her more of a mainstay later in the game when long range fires. She already has deck of 2. This is actually a great ship. I really like this Marengo class. So we could actually do this, and you know what? What if we go down to 100? Can have our cake and eat it too? Wow, wonderful. So this is what we're going to end up doing. And this is our anti-cruiser gunboat. I mean, she's just as good as any of our other battleships at sinking another battleship, but she also happens to have 12 6-inch guns firing at whatever secondary target she prefers to fire at. And I like the little bit of weight remaining, which we can knock down eventually if we get director firing. We can knock down the weight with reducing our rounds per gun. Quality 0. I really like this. So let's save and... yes. Okay, when rebuilding ships, you can install additional secondary guns of 6-inch caliber, but only in 6-inch mount and single mounts. So what we have to do is go to single mounts, which is going to cause some problems with weight, I guess. We can solve that just by lowering this down. Now it should complain. And look at the penalty we have is only 20% now. I'm completely okay with that. So we basically updated these to make them turrets instead of casemate. So that means that if we have troubled waters, they'll perform just as well. I'm still rather happy with the lack of 40% reduction in rate of fire. And in the end, it worked out with a lot of weight remaining. Is it enough? Should we? No. Let's not get absurd. And I think I'm happy with everything else. So again, we'll just up from 1.2 to 2. So 800 extra thousand, 0.8 million extra per ship. You can see that just, it's now more expensive to get 2 of these than it was originally to refit 3 of them. Just to put things in perspective. That's not good, but it's a decision I'm going to make. So rebuild the Marengo. This will be quite expensive. I'm not even sure we'll be able to get to all of them, but I will try because we want to get these done as soon as possible, just in case. We kind of staggered them, so these guys, the Ocean class might finish before. Yeah, it looks like those will finish before we run out of money, and then we can cycle in the next one. So that means the Tortuga Power and Redoubtable will have to stay kind of temporarily forever on hold. The one that's only 8 months away, I mean, that's the same amount of time as the Marengo class, so I'll let her finish. Because the sooner she finishes, the sooner we don't have to pay for her construction fee, which is enormous. Okay, very good. I keep feeling like I need to build light cruisers, but no, we already messed that up. Fine, fair enough. Moving on. Okay, the Liana, or I thought I might have... my memory seems to trigger it was Ilena, but that's okay. Liana, it will be called from now on. The government is considering making some symbolic concessions to Germany to lower tension between our nations. What is my response? We will not consider concessions with Germany. Very appropriate. This just gets our prestige up versus tension down, but I would rather go to war with Germany. Okay, more savings on the machinery. Better fire control. Love it. Always a big fan of the increased ability to hit other ships. In fact, if I'm honest, I would prefer, if there was yet one more tier for priorities, I would probably make fire control and possibly ship design my ultra high priorities. Those I think are the ones to have at the highest. I mean, cross-deck fire, that's massive. Oh, I mean, the turret one is also very good because I think that is the one that allows us to have quadruple turrets, which is a French bonus. We are supposed to get quadruple turrets faster than other people, so we can get our own Dunkirk class out. I don't really like the Dunkirk class because it has no rear firing guns, but it's something we can consider. Maybe we'll do a Dunkirk +1, 2 forward firing quad turrets and 1 rear firing, which would be massive. I'm not sure. Well, it'll be a long time before we can really think about that, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay, more advancements in machinery, but nothing concrete, just making progress. Budget is really clearing itself up continuously, so... Oh, that was because, of course, the Liana was finished, and that has given us a little bit of leeway. How much longer? 1 more month. You know what? Just because we want to get these done as soon as possible, let's get this Marengo. I missed one. To retrofit. Charles Martel. We don't want too many retrofitting at the same time because, a sudden war, if we find, could catch us with our pants down if we have all of them retrofitting. It's happened to me before. It's not a good feeling. Especially because when they come back, they usually take a month or 2 to rework up. I think it's considered reserve fleet status when you're being rebuilt. I know we don't have the money for it, but I'm just going to go ahead and build the larger dock size now anyway, because that's important, building to the future. And whoever my future successor will be, certainly not just in 5 more years, but cough, cough. But whoever the future successor will be will thank me. In fact, future Tortuga will thank myself as well. Okay, good. The reconstructions are finishing just right on time. Now, the Italians being interested in... This is, I guess, fire control? No, could be armor? I don't know, but I'm going to give it to the Italians. We've already taken Sardinia from them. I hope we don't end up in another war with them in the near future. Okay, with the budget, I see it's time to continue our retrofits, so let's open this Charles Martel. This is a lighter one if I remember, yeah. because it has lower secondaries already. It has this silly 4-inch guns configuration. Again, I'm going to shoot that down. Central firing. This is also going to be expensive. I mean, you can see just the replacing this turret is so expensive. Okay, but that's fine. We won't have to do the secondary gun replacement on this one, I think. We will just maybe get 9-inch guns on this. Yeah. And then that shouldn't be, yep, that's not very expensive. And use a little bit of the extra money for a little bit of extra ammo. 1.2 for this one, I'm fine with that. This ship is not going to be as long-serving, although it probably has lower in maintenance cost because of its lower displacement, I imagine, than... I already forget the class I liked. Was it the Ocean class? The one I liked, whatever it was. No, it wasn't the Ocean class because it was the 15,000 ton one. Oh, Marengo class, of course. So the Marengo class will probably see service until... Oh, narrow belt. Okay, that's fine. I don't... Oh, yeah, I would not... I do not want narrow belt, but, you know, we can't change that, so... There she is, central firing, better ammo, 10 weight. That's... I always like a little bit of extra weight remaining. So there we'll go. We'll rebuild that. You can do both at the same time, it looks like. Onto the Brennus. I think we can squeeze her in as well, because we should have some more ships finishing soon. Or maybe the Brennus. Oh, this is a... Gah. Ugh. Yuck. I'm not going to upgrade this one with guns. We'll give it central firing, but this is... I'm going to send the Brennus over to Southeast Asia. She's an eyesore. I don't want her anywhere near me. The 7-inch guns is really what I'm kind of moaning about. Because again, the 6-inch guns are better. They can actually hit destroyers as effectively as lighter guns. So this one with its large amount of tertiary guns and all that, plenty of weight. Yeah, we'll just give it a little bit of extra ammo and send her on her way. She's slower anyways. I prefer to keep the slower ships isolated. And this one won't take very long to rebuild, and we'll send her over to Southeast Asia. Just in case you aren't aware, battleships, dreadnoughts, and battle cruisers, I think battle cruisers as well, but I'm sure that dreadnoughts and battleships, if they're in a naval province, a sea location, and especially if they're uncontested by enemy battleships or battle cruisers, they increase the chance. I think having them begins the chance at all, gives you a chance at all to invade any enemy holdings in the same sea zone. So once we send somebody over to Southeast Asia, if we send one over and say we went to war with Germany, if Germany doesn't have any battleships over here, we have a good chance, well, not a good chance, but at least a chance to invade any of their colonial holdings. So that's why I like to kind of spread some of our battleships around. I think the chance increases with more battleships, but you just don't want to put too many of your big heavy battleships. And that's what I was talking about, the strategic battleship. You can get a strategic dreadnought, just 13,000 tons. Even when you're up to the ability of building like 30,000 tons, you just squeak out a really light dreadnought for a strategic force projection. Anywho, rebuilding the Ocean class. These are rebuilt. So we've made it. I think it's time for us to call this episode to a close, actually. So what have we done? We made it almost another year. We need to cycle through these improvements. And that's the legacy of Tortuga so far, just upgrading old ships. Not the most glamorous one. The only other thing we would be known for is scrapping old ships. But hopefully some of that changes. Tensions have dropped with Britain quite significantly, so it doesn't look like we have threat of going to war anytime soon. I haven't really been taking any steps to decrease tensions. They're just, luck is not with me. I'm a bit of a warmonger, but you wouldn't know it based on this situation here. Anyways, I'm going to put this episode down for the moment. I'll pick it up in the next video. I'll probably get these out every 2 days. But for now, thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.